Well, hello, and welcome to Friday Night Live. In case we haven't met, my name is Sharon Rogers, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Wells, Maine. And every Friday at 7:30, I like to bring you a little project. And tonight, I'm going to have to turn off my sound. Hold on. My computer's just coming on. Okay, there we go. Every Friday night at 7:30, I like to bring you a little project, and tonight I have a fun fold, a shutter card. Almost 2 weeks ago, we had a pretty big snowstorm. Uh, well, actually, most of the country had a pretty big snowstorm, or at least a cold snap. And I did a mystery Stampin' in the Snow event. So we all joined in virtually, and I presented um, three projects using various techniques and fun folds. And the shutter card was one of them. Now, this event wasn't recorded, and shutter cards are one of those things where you really need a little bit of time to dissect it a little bit. And so I thought I would come to you Friday night with another shutter card, and that way you can replay it as you need to. The directions will be in my email that comes out on Monday. So every Monday, I send out an email letting people know, what's happening in the world of Stampin' Up! And what events I might have coming up, and also I provide you with some tutorials. And my Friday Night Live is usually one of them. So good evening, Linda. Nice to have you. This is my buddy Crash, too. For those of you who have not met Crash, he likes to join me in my stamping fun. So I came on a little bit early. Let's see. Nobody else is popping by besides Linda to say hello yet. I was a little bit early, so I'm just going to give people another second. Oh, Ruth is here from Florida. Ruth, what is the temperature down there now? Has it made it back up to warmer weather? I think there was a high of 27 here today. It was at 9 very early this morning. So I work at a church and our boilers have not been working very well. So I went in at 3 a.m. and at 5:30 a.m. to make sure that things were running okay because we have kids that come through a 4-hour early learning center, and I wanted them to be warm because that's always nice. Anyway, I'm going to turn myself down and we're going to get started on how to make a shutter card. So hold on just a second. And I think I need to do this. Mid 50s most days. That's good. That's not a bad temperature. I'd feel warm for here. I know it's not exactly warm for where you are, but it's certainly better than it was, right? All right. All right. Oh, Linda, I'm glad you've made shutter cards before. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to start. First of all, I want to show you what came in yesterday for me. This is the new Painted Illusions Designer Series paper, and this is Stampin' Up's latest product of the month. This is the product of the month for February 2026. And it's a little bit of a unique designer series paper. Every now and then we have it in this configuration where you get 3 of each sheet instead of 2, but you only get 4 different kinds, if you will. So we've got this pattern, which is pretty flowers with lots of multicolors and white, pops of white, nice and bright and cheery. Then there's this one. And this is probably my favorite. I love greens and blues together. And then we've got this. This kind of reminds me of like a mermaid pattern. And then we've got Lost Lagoon on one side with some, I don't know, leaves, or I don't know what you'd call this, but again, multicolored. And then we've got this one, also nice and bright and cheery. Love this one too, with that little bit more calm and subtle background on the back. So the colors that are in this are Darling Duckling, Flirty Flamingo, Granny Apple Green, Lost Lagoon, Misty Moonlight, Petal Pink, and Pretty Peacock. So quite a few colors that will go with a lot of projects. And, you know, there's some in-between colors as well. All right, so I have got this piece out. This is the one I'm going to focus on. And I've decided that I'm going to use as a base Pretty Peacock. And I'll give you some measurements in just a moment. And then I've got a piece of basic white, and then I'm using Granny Apple Green as well, because that's in here. And then a couple more pieces of Pretty Peacock. So let's see here. We're going to, let's first, let me give you the directions or the measurements for what I'm doing. So my card base is 5.5 by 8.5, and I have not scored it yet. We need to make a gatefold. I'm moving some stuff out of the way so that I can stay on camera. So on this gatefold, now normally if I folded this in half, it would be 4.25 wide. Half of that, because a gatefold folds in the middle, half of that is 2 1/8. So I'm going to score one end at 2 1/8. And I'm actually going to do it on both sides, but this side I'm really scoring. The other side I'm going to just a little bit more lightly score, because sometimes the scoring is just a little bit off and you get a gap in the center. And we don't want that. So I'm going to take this, this part that I had scored pretty well and burnish that. Then I'm going to take the other side, and now if I were to fold it, it actually looks pretty good, but I'm going to just tuck that right up against that other piece and burnish it so it comes together perfectly. And that is how you get the perfect gatefold. It does look like tropical leaves, doesn't it? We don't have anything tropical up here, but in the winter, I like to look at it. So here we go. I also have a couple of pieces of Pretty Peacock, and you want this to match your base, which is why, since my card is Pretty Peacock, that's why these are Pretty Peacock. And these are 3 by 4. And what I'm going to do on these is on the 4-inch side, I'm going to score it at 3.5. So basically I'm getting a 1/2 inch here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it to the short side. Now, because this is 3.5, half of that, I'm trying to find the center point here, half of that is 1 3/4. And I'm going to take my scoring blade and I'm going to score up 2 inches. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. So I will score it on the long side at 3.5. And then I'll rotate it so that the score line's at the top. Put the short end at 1 3/4. And again, some of you know I use my paper trimmer, what many of you might think of as upside down, but that's how I do it. So see, my Stampin' Up! Is upside down. All right, so now I'm going to actually work on these pieces for a second. I'm going to burnish on those score lines. Now, these pieces right here, this is just to show me where to cut. I want to measure up 2 inches in the center. So that's why I've got this score line in the center here. And I am just going to make sure I definitely know where that halfway, where that 2-inch mark is right there. I just need a little dot to let me know. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. 2 inches, and here's my, okay, so it's right at the top. Just in case my scoring was a little bit off, I wanted to make sure I had that. Now you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut from the bottom diagonal here, well, the bottom point here, up to that mark that you just made. So we're making a banner cut here. All right. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other piece. And you can cut up first if you want to. That's usually how I do my banner cuts, but you don't really need to because you're just going from point to marked point. And you can also do that with a paper trimmer. All right, so there we go. We'll take our little pieces out, and this is what's going to make the shutter effect for us. All right, so now what we're going to do, we need to bring in a couple other pieces. I'm going to set these aside. You're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock, and I'm using one that's basic white and one that is Granny Apple Green, and they measure 3 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall. Now, you can use both whites. I wanted a little more color in here on the inside, I think, but white actually might have been a nicer option. You know what I'm going to do? Am I? I don't know. Let's see. If I put this on the side, I think, you know what? I'm going to change my mind. I am going to make this white, but know that you can have a color and it's okay. So I'm going to cut another piece of basic white so that it is 3 inches wide. And I'm only doing this because this white looks so great against the designer series paper. Oh, it's already 5.5. Well, I'm going to cut, yeah, oh, that's good. I do want to make sure that both these pieces, and especially this first one that I cut, which is going in the back, is at least a little bit shorter than the back, which is just a hair shorter, because I don't want to see it on sticking out, although now it's not so much of a problem because I've got this white piece too. And I think if I just stand those up together, those are the same height. So that's perfect. All right, so let me come back in here. And we are going to adhere this piece down first. This is so that when our shutter opens, we have a white area that we can stamp a greeting on. Hi, Reba. Glad you could make it all the way from Houston. You'll probably want to watch the replay of this too because you missed some of the important first steps. But we're making a shutter card tonight. And let's see if we can get I got to get my glue unstuck. All right, get that little glue boogie out. Okay, that should be good. There we go. And we're going to put this in the center of our card, of the inside of our card. And you can measure it if you want to. I'm just eyeballing it. I mean, I did glue it down, so let's see. We are about... I think I need to move a little bit one way. Trying to find this. Move a little bit left. All right, that's good enough. Okay, now I'm not going to create the rest of the shutter just yet. We need our designer series paper first. So let's go ahead and So Reba, this is the new Painted Illusions Designer Series paper. That's the product of the month. And I don't know where I want to cut it. I'm just going to cut it right here. I'm going to cut it at 5 1/4 though. So here's 5 1/4. And then I need 3 pieces. I need 2 that measure 1 7/8, and these are going to go on the front. 1 7/8 and 1 7/8. And then I need one more that is 2 3/4, and this is going to go on the inside. You know what? I'm going to change my mind. I want it from the other end because I want a little bit more of this green. What measurement did I say? 2 3/4? Okay. It's just it was all a little bit too blue and too vertical for me here. So that's why I just changed my mind on which section I wanted to use. All right, so these 2 little pieces will go on the outside. They're going to go right over here. And actually, I can make them look almost like they're continuous if I put them this way, the way they were cut. So let's go ahead and glue those on. Anybody watching a football fan? Are you going to be watching the Super Bowl on Sunday? I will be. I will be cheering for my beloved Patriots. It's been a long time coming, and I know that that is very subjective because most of you have, if you cheer for other teams, you did not quite have the dynasty that the Patriots have had in the 2000s. But when you pretty much dominate for 20 years, and then you go 4 years with really terrible records, it's amazing to be back now. All right, so there's the front of my card. I knew Ruth would be with me because Ruth used to live in New England. All right, now this piece right here, this piece gets mounted on the remaining basic white. And you could actually make this one a little bit wider too. You could have made it so it was 2 7/8 by 5 1/8 to have a little bit less of a white border, but I kind of like that white border. All right. Let's put this right here. Did you know that before I did the Mystery Stamping in the Snow event, I had never done a shutter card before? They're kind of fun. You are limited where you can write. So if you want to write stuff, you probably need to add a little piece to the back if you want to write a lot. I'm going to take my Stylish Shapes here. Now you could use a punch, like a 2.5-inch circle punch. But what I like about using a die is that you can make sure that it is centered. So I want to center it left and right. Up and down, not such a big deal. You don't want to put it too close to the top though, because you are going to have some moving pieces in here. So just above center would be okay, or even center would be fine. Well, let's go ahead and bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and my cutting plates. And I'm gonna go just above center, I think. There we go. And we're gonna put this right down here. Now, I didn't actually really need to glue the white and the DSP in the center here. And if I hadn't, I could have gotten a little bit more use out of this, but I'm going to hold on to this for a second, and I'll show you why in a minute. Because believe it or not, I will be bringing in some stamps pretty soon. Okay, so now we have this piece, and this piece is going to get adhered right in here, but you have to be careful where you adhere it. You only want to adhere it at the top and at the bottom. So I'm going to bring in some dimensionals because I want stuff to be able to move pretty freely. And I'm just going to put them along the top and along the bottom. And that is a little dead soldier right there. So we'll use some more edges. I'm kind of swimming in edges at the moment, so got to use some of them up. It's my holder where I put my dimensionals is getting pretty full. All right, so I want the narrower piece up at the top. I mean, it doesn't matter, it's personal preference, but you're just going to line those white pieces up. So you can't even see the one underneath. But this is where you're going to stamp your greeting. But I would not stamp it now. I would wait until you have the shutter mechanisms going. All right, so now these two pieces, this is where they come in. You're going to put them in here between those white pieces right there. Okay. And then you're going to do the same thing from the other side. And it may be hard to tell, but I've got the edge of this one right up against that, that fold right there. And let's go ahead, and I want to make sure it's kind of centered. And this is where you really want to take the time to make sure that this point is the same distance from the top. That looks to be about 3 as the bottom. So that actually looks pretty good. I'm going to keep that right there for a second and add some tear and tape. You can also use glue. If you use tear and tape, you want to make sure that you are putting it next to that score line. Okay, when I remove that, then remember it's right up against that score line. So when I fold it over, see, now it comes out and it opens that. Now the placement for this one is equally as important. I'm going to put this in, and I want to make sure that both ends are on top. So here it's on top and here it's on top. So I don't want them, let me show you. I don't want it so like this side is, this piece is on top of the other one, but it's underneath that one. I want them on the same side. So I'm going to put this one on the top of both of those. Let's see. Come on, cooperate. There we go. Now, I'm going to make sure that this is aligned over here, right next to that fold. And I'm going to make sure that they're aligned over here on the left too. Now, can you see that I can see one little point here, but not on the other side? That means my points are not on the same side. So I need to fix that. It's so hard to tell when you're dealing with cardstock of the same color, but that is how I tell. Oh, come on, get in there. There we go. So when it sticks out the other end, now I can see you can see the points on both sides. That means they're both on the same side. And I'm lining this up so that this is flush against this fold, and that the tops here and the bottom here are aligned with that other piece. That helps me know I've got things in there straight. And it is worth taking a little bit of time to do that. So now again, we're going to put this right against the fold. Remove the backing. Come on. All right. I'll get my Take Your Pick tool out because that makes it a whole lot easier. All right, so one last little check to make sure everything's lined up. I'm going to fold this over, press down, and see, now we have something that looks pretty good in there. Okay. Is it perfect? Not quite, but it's close enough for me. All right, so that's the shutter portion. It's like a shutter on a camera. And now we need to put some words in there. I'm going to bring in my Addressed to You stamp set. This is going to be the featured stamp set for next week's Tune In Tuesday. And let's see, happy and birthday. Let's go with something bright and cheery like Granny Apple Green. I'm going to do both of those in Granny Apple Green. Get my blocks out here. And now, because I see where my window is, I'm just going to hold this open, and that's where I'm going to stamp my happy birthday. Now, I could do happy that goes this way, and then I could do, let me show you what I'm talking about without the blocks. So I could put happy that it runs parallel to that shutter. And then I could do birthday that does this. That's not a bad idea, huh? You know what? That's kind of interesting. I like it. That's what I'm going to do. Let's see if I can execute it. All right. Oh, my ink pad I didn't ink quite well, but it is still there. You can read it. The light is definitely not my friend right here. But so that's happy birthday. Now to decorate the outside, we need something to keep this closed. Now see how this white, I wasn't paying attention to the bottom. I was only paying attention to the top. If that sticks out a little bit, you're going to have to trim it, which is not hard to do because you can just use the card base as a guide. But you definitely don't want it sticking out. Okay, there. Now it's better. All right, so in here, there's the balloons. And remember how I said I could use this white piece still? Now, it's a little bit larger. I could bring in a smaller circle. Let's go ahead and bring in a smaller circle. I'm going to just die cut another one of those stylish shapes. Just because I don't want it quite so big. All right. And I know that there's designer series paper on the back side of this, and it doesn't matter because nobody's going to see it. This stamp set is back available, or at least it was, because I ordered it 2 or 3 days ago for one of my team members for a prize during a team meeting. This is kind of a fun circle too that you could play with. I probably won't. I've got more scraps than I can think of. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to bring in my memento. Bring in my balloons. It really is a fabulous set, if for no other reason than decorating envelopes. There's so much that gets covered in this stamp set. We've got the snowflakes, which is great for here, and the trees, great for Christmas, great for just Maine in general, Pine Tree State, you know. We've got balloons for any kind of birthday or celebration, congratulations, and we've got flowers. And then, of course, you've got the lines for the addresses and decorative elements. So I'm going to show you some ways you can make cards, not just decorate envelopes with those. So there are a bunch of different colors in here. Yellow's not one of them, but I'm going to bring in some Daffodil Delight anyway. And I'm going to color this balloon in Daffodil Delight. And I'm going to color a couple of these little, I don't know, bubbles. And then another, this is the Granny Apple Green Light. These color up pretty quickly. And I'm going to color those bubbles. And then I've got Lost Lagoon. Ooh, this one looks like it's dying. I do like my Lost Lagoon. Ooh, this is so dark though. Ooh. I've stored them flat too. I'm not sure why this one's so dark. It's okay. It still works with what's on here. Okay, so we have that. And now we just need something to keep it closed. So I'm just bringing in a belly band. Now with belly bands, it's best if you have them join in the front. So I'm just going to fold right around here. That overlaps way too much. So I'm going to cut off this end a little bit here. I'm going to cut off a little bit of the other end. And then I want to glue those two ends together. And so that I make sure that I am not kind of putting glue where I don't want it, what I usually do is I'll put it on the end of the one that's on the bottom and on the inside end of the one that's on the top. And then put those together, hold it for a second. And then I'm going to adhere this with dimensionals. And again, because I don't want to put my dimensionals where it might extend off the side of this, I'm simply going to put those right here and about right here. And then there we go. We have a cute little card. We must have to add something fun, right? Let's see. What do I have? I don't think I have anything that's going to go specifically with those colors. Let me see. I'm flipping through, trying to flip through quickly. I have these that I could use up. Some blues in here so the blues, yeah, these go nicely. Let's do that. These are the low profile sparkle dots, and they're on clearance, I think. They might be out by now. I don't know. So let's just go ahead and put a few of these so they'll act just more like bubbles. So let's put a couple up here. And come on, come on. Oh, this is almost out. That's why. That, but you can also put them out here. You can put them over here. You know, like line up a couple or just one on each side. You know what? I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to reevaluate what I'm doing. I'm going to put these back. I'll use them another time. I kind of like this better, what I'm doing. But I started with the small, so I'll stay with the small. I need some more putty. Let's turn it. I have never been to Idaho, but it does sound like a lovely place to visit. All right. So there we have that. And that is our Shutter card. Slide this off, open it up, happy birthday. And then if you do want, if you are somebody who likes to write a lot more on their cards, what you could do is add a piece of white to the back here and put your note there. Because there really is no other place in here. I mean, you could also sign something down here if you wanted to, or just sign your name up here. Choices, you have choices. All right, and that is our card for tonight. So let me turn you back up. Oh, you're going to see my hand. Hello, hand. Woo, here I am. Here's Crash. Oh, look at Crash. He looks so cute. Hold on. Let's get this. Oh, I'm waking him up. Crashy, say hi to everybody. So I got up in the middle of the night because I had to go check the boilers at church because facilities are my thing for some reason. Anyway, I got up in the middle of the night, and then when I got back, I was still kind of awake. So I came in my stamp room and I filmed some of my Tune In Tuesday videos. And all of a sudden, there was this big, as my son said, kerfluffle. The dog and the black cat were going at it, and I had to break them up. And the dog had a bloody nose. The cat was none the worse for wear. But this cat was a little freaked out. So next time he saw the dog, he was arched back, not very happy. But he calmed down and realized, you know what? This one has no problem with the dog. The dog does not bother him because he's just so chill. The other cat, the black cat, she's mean. She does not like the dog at all. She doesn't even like this cat. So she kind of asked for it. But I'll break it up because I love them all. But it was not the dog's fault. I'm convinced of that. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you will tune in on Tuesday so that you can see some more projects using the Addressed to You stamp set. It's a really great one. And I will see you soon. Have a great weekend and go Pats. Got my red on. It's as close as I could come. I don't have a Patriots jersey that fits. Have a good weekend, everybody.